Okay, I'll close this.
Hi, Anna.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
My colleague is about to join.
Good. Anna, do you have separate slides or you have one presentation with Preeti?
We have a common one that we made together.
Okay.
Yeah, because Preeti is the lead teacher of the project, and I'm an art teacher that worked with her. She teaches in science.
Okay. So Preeti will be sharing the slides while you will be speaking as well. Okay.
Να σας ρωτήσω κάτι. Επειδή είστε μία ομάδα, πώς θα γίνει, ποιος θα παρουσιάσει πρώτος, θα δίνει το λόγο στον επόμενο, πώς θα το κάνουμε αυτό?
Εγώ το moderation θα το κάνω εγώ.
Ωραία.
Οπότε θα ξεκινήσω εγώ και μετά θα δώσω το λόγο στην Ελένη. Και
θα πάτε έτσι.
Και θα το πάμε έτσι, ναι.
Οπότε οι ερωτήσεις θα πάνε στο τέλος.
Θα έχουμε 2 στιγμές για τις ερωτήσεις. Μία προς τη μέση, δηλαδή αφού παρουσιάσει η πρώτη μας εκπαιδευτικός, η Πρίτη που δεν έχει έρθει ακόμα. Και μετά θα έχουμε άλλη μία στιγμή για ερωτήσεις στο τέλος. Θα δούμε πώς θα πάει κιόλας.
Οπότε θα πρέπει να το πείτε εσείς, γι' αυτό λέω, επειδή δεν ξέρω εγώ πότε θα είναι.
Ναι, και μην ανησυχείτε, θα το διαχειριστώ και αν θέλω κάτι θα σας στείλω επιτεκτικά.
Εμείς θα φροντίσουμε να δώσουμε και το παρουσιολόγιο στους ανθρώπους που είναι εδώ, αλλά θα φροντίσετε και εσείς να το ολοκληρώσουμε στον χρόνο που έχουμε στη διάθεσή μας, έτσι.
Βεβαίως, εννοείται, βέβαια.
Πολύ ωραία.
Hi, Preeti. And welcome to everyone. Καλώς ήρθατε, καλησπέρα.
Hello, Evita.
Hi, Preeti.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Same here. One question: will you be uploading the presentation, or is it us?
You can either share it, or you can indeed upload it.
Actually, the thing is, this is a new system for me, and so I am. So share it, is it?
Okay. Yeah. So I think you need to be a presenter.
Okay.
But I think that will be taken care of.
Also, one more question. Both Anna and we both have divided our, we have decided, okay, she takes one slide and I take one slide. Is it okay that we keep our mic on both the time, and so we just with the flow take it over?
Yeah. When it's the time and you are presenting, I think that's fine. That's okay. I will make sure that we are muting the rest of us, so there's no interference.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
And I just want to check if you can see my slides.
Yes.
I'm just checking.
See if you can share it now.
Preeti is the presenter now, so there is no problem. She can present.
Preeti, you should be able to share now.
I'm just looking where did I save it.
Okay.
I have to check once more. Just give me a second. I was just presenting it. Oh no, sorry. Here. Is it visible?
Yes.
I think you need to put it full screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
And you have many tabs open, so I hope your computer is not gonna collapse.
I can switch them off though.
But if you are sure that if you are sure that your system can handle it, no problem. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it has been handling for a long time, but I can just like
No,
I can
it's fine,
just switch them off.
Yeah, no, it's good. No worries.
Okay, there is no problem with this.
Yeah, but you don't have to close everything. It's just, from my side, I'm always worried, so I'm closing.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, but I just want to be sure because I just don't want to be nervous.
You're good. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, now everything is closed.
Everything is like that, so you just need to put it full screen, and then I think it's going to be fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Very good.
So we are waiting for our turn. By that time, can I go through?
I'm going to start, and Eleni is going to present first, and then I'm going to pass the floor to you. But I'm going to say it very clearly that it's your time. No worries.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
So Evita will be the presenter.
Yes, I will start. I'm just going to speak. I'm not going to share anything now. So you don't. You can do it like this. Yeah.
So we can leave this presentation visible.
We can. No, Eleni is going to put another one. So the first presenter is going to be Eleni.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So Preeti, if you can, please stop sharing.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. How do I do this? Stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay, it's 3:00, 3:01, so I think it's time for us to start. So,
yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Kalispera. Kalos ήρθατε. It's a Saturday afternoon. Maybe for some of you, it's a very sunny and warm afternoon. This is not our case, for me and Eleni at least. So in any case, we very, very much appreciate that you took the time to join us. My name is Evita Tasiopoulou. I'm working at European Schoolnet as a project and pedagogical manager. And for today, I'm going to try to be your moderator and make sure that we're going to have a very constructive and interesting session. So, in our program today, first we're going to start with my colleague Eleni Mircioti, who is also from European Schoolnet. She's going to present you the STEMIT project and how the STEMIT project contributes to STEM education. And then we're going to have our lovely teachers, Preeti and Anna, who are going to explain to you and take you through the experience that they had while they have been working with us within the project in designing and also implementing the STEM integrated learning scenarios. We will also have time to exchange with you because we are looking forward to learn and hear your experiences as well. And of course, we're going to have time to answer your questions. If you have any question during the presentation, feel free to add it in the chat, and I'm going to make sure that we are going to pick it up and we're going to address it, of course. So with this, again, another warm welcome from me, and I'm going to pass the floor to Eleni for our first presentation. Eleni, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Evita. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. So, initially, we would like to introduce Scientix and how it is linked to the STEMIT project. We are sure that most of you are familiar with Scientix. It is the community for science education in Europe. And for the past 11 years, it has been the point of reference for all science STEM teachers in Europe. In Scientix, we have a massive repository of learning materials, the Scientix repository of resources, a projects repository, the Scientix observatory papers. We frequently issue newsletters, and we also have several networking opportunities, such as workshops and online training programs, but also we support the implementation of several massive online open courses, our MOOCs. Also, Scientix organizes every year the STEM Discovery Campaign, which has just ended. And one of the projects that Scientix is, of course, supporting is STEMIT. STEMIT stands for an interdisciplinary STEM approach connected to all around us, and European Schoolnet is the coordinator. Together with our partners, we are working on creating the first integrated framework for STEM education in Europe. So how STEMIT differs and what makes it special and important milestones so far in the project. The main aims of the STEMIT project is to co-design with ministries the first European integrated STEM reference framework, which means that we are going to create and test the conceptual framework of reference for integrated STEM education together with our pilot teachers, and two of those are together with us today, and develop a capacity building program for primary school teachers and secondary STEM teachers, which is, of course, our courses. Another aim is to mainstream innovative practice in education, help teachers transform their practice. And a third aim is to help all ministries to adopt or adapt partially the framework, either in an experimental way or more broadly. Some important milestones of the STEMIT project so far include 3 co-creation workshops, and European Schoolnet was one of the first organizations to organize such events online, and of course the launch of the website and communication campaigns. In STEMIT, we have published the State of Play publication, where we explain what is integrated STEM education, the status of STEM in Europe, and it has been based on SWOT analysis and a literature review. In this publication, we explain and assess in detail the current situation for relevant stakeholders that are identified as primary, secondary teachers, ministers of education, and industry. Another very important milestone is the publication of the guidelines on how to present STEM jobs in classrooms. In this publication, teachers get suggestions on how to integrate the topic of STEM careers and jobs in their classes, and they are provided with materials such as career sheets, video interviews, podcasts, as well as ideas for activities and follow-up suggestions. The goal of this publication is to introduce students to STEM professions, the job market, and make them contextualize and link STEM subjects they are taught in school with jobs. Another important milestone of the project is the launch of the repository of STEM jobs profile. If you visit the STEMIT website, you will see that there are several profiles of STEM professionals, and those are targeting especially teachers. There, we provide information and multimedia resources about various STEM jobs profiles, and we also have testimonials and feedback from the professionals themselves. They talk to us and explain how STEM studies help them enter the job market. And with those activities and those ideas, we provide materials to teachers who wish to take some elements from those career profiles and integrate it in the STEM courses. In the STEMIT project, we have worked with 11 teams of teachers, 34 in total, who have authored and tested learning scenarios. We have also designed 2 courses. One, the integrated STEM teaching courses from primary school and secondary school teachers that launched from October until December, and a rerun is scheduled for this October. We also have the teachers community, the learning scenarios, and they have also been used in the 2021 STEM Discovery campaign. In the STEMIT website, you can see that we have published all the learning scenarios that our teachers authored and tested, and teachers from all over Europe and beyond can freely access them, download them, use them in their classroom, but also get directly in touch with our pilot teachers and ask for advice or recommendations. During the 2021 STEM Discovery campaign, we ran 3 competitions, one for primary school teachers, one for secondary school teachers, and the competition Professionals Go Back to School. In those 3 competitions, we received several activities from teachers all over Europe who are interested in integrated STEM teaching, and the learning scenarios created in the project were of great importance in this competition because several teachers used them, downloaded them, and eventually implemented them and tested them in their classes. And I believe that here we can use our first question.
Yes, so now that we know a little bit about the project and the overall framework, it's time for us to understand, and learn a little bit about you. So I'm sure you are all familiar with Mentimeter, so we just have one first question for you. If you have ever applied the STEM integrated teaching approach to your classroom. So you can use your phones, or you just go to your browser, you go to menti.com, you enter the code, and then you answer our question so we can see who we are in this room. Eleni, do you want to check if you can see the results? Otherwise, I can share them. Let's see. So,
no, we cannot see the results.
So let me see. I think people are slowly going. So you're going to menti.com, and maybe we need the code again. It's 3347. I will put it in the chat for you. I think it's easier. And the website to go is www.menti.com. All these tools, they look so much fun, and then it takes like 15 minutes for people to access them. Okay, I start seeing some answers. We have some experienced people who have used STEM integrated teaching many times. Now let's see about the rest. Let me try to put you another link. I think it's going to make it easier. Try with the link that I sent you. I think it's going to work better. Okay, so I see we have quite a few people that they have tried it many times. We have only a couple of people that they say no, so they're completely new. And we have a couple of people that they say yes once. So I think we got quite a diverse group. So for the ones that they have used it many times already, we're looking forward to hear your experience. And for the ones that you haven't tried before, we are looking forward to see how we can help you to get on board. Okay, so with this, let's continue. Let's start with our teachers. So Preeti, are you ready to take the floor?
Yeah. If you can unshare your screen, I will take over from there.
You can, Preeti.
Can you see me? Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Cool. Hello, everybody. My name is Preeti Galawat, and I'm a scientist ambassador, and I've done many other projects in European SchoolNet. But today I'm here just to present this project, which was really a great project, which gave me a lot of learning, and also it helped us to develop a very wonderful project here in our school in Rådabergsskolan and in Stockholm, Sweden. We started working together. Actually, it started this project started in corridor when I started chatting with my colleague Anna Brink, who soon will represent herself soon. I just started chatting with her in the corridor, talking about my idea about making the houses. My colleague immediately liked this idea, and then she started giving me so many different other ideas that can be integrated into this project. Before I say something more, I would like to actually introduce my colleague Anna first.
Yes, hello, my name is Anna Brink and I'm an art teacher at Rådabergsskolan in Stockholm. Rådabergsskolan is a school with grades 1 to 9. And we did this project in grade 8. So in Sweden, I don't know if you have a similar education system, but the students were between 14 and 15 when we made this.
And I teach science and technology in the same classes. So that's how it was very easy for us because we both knew our students. And so we could actually plan this project easily. So this is what we are going to talk about today. What were the choice of the subjects and activities that were in our project? We will also talk about methodologies and materials that we used in this project. We also will talk about what was the overall aim and purpose of different lessons done in this project. At the end, we will also give you some of the examples of the future projects that we have in our mind. And we would like to ask you what subjects would you, so please listen to us carefully throughout this presentation. We are going to check whether you can give some ideas which subjects can be integrated into those projects that we give suggestions for.
So this is, I'm going to talk a bit about how the project connects to the Swedish national curriculum. This is from the first chapter of the Swedish curriculum before it says what everyone in each subject should teach and how to grade that. And this is for the compulsory schools, so grades 1 to 9. And it says in that first chapter, a small part, that the schools should stimulate pupils' creativity, curiosity, and self-confidence, as well as the desire to translate ideas into action and solve problems. Pupils should have the opportunity to take initiatives and assume responsibility and to develop their ability to work both independently and together with others. Thus provide pupils with conditions to develop digital competence and attitude that promotes entrepreneurship. And that's from Lgr 11, Läroplan för grundskolan 11, the Swedish national curriculum. And we think that this STEM project that Preeti Naim is going to talk about, it reflects pretty much, well, a lot of this actually, both the digital competence, the working together, it spurs the creativity and curiosity of the students. So we felt throughout the project that it had a very close relationship with our national curriculum. So we really felt that it was important both as a part of the for the collaboration, but it also had a very strong, as said, roots in how we should work in the Swedish school.
Yeah, and it also takes all the subjects into consideration. It is not only for one subject, science or art or languages or anything. It actually is an umbrella kind of a phrase for all the subjects that are in Swedish curriculum. So we decided to start from the beginning, from here, and from there we can just take it, we can have it in different we can take it further to different subjects based on our project. So the name of the project we decided together in our team, we decided that it has to be Light Up Your Future Homes. so that the students can think about what they can talk about about future homes actually. And the subjects that we decided to integrate were technology, physics, art, and math. And language arts is just overall part of this project. So we did not add that language art into this one. And in technology, the students used different platforms. In physics, we talked about light and sound. And in art, it was about UX design. And also math, it was about measurements of areas of different shapes. Anna?
Yes, and the theme and the real-life challenges addressed was housing in densely populated areas. We talked about sustainability, energy consumption, awareness, and as said, UX design and communicating the right message online to the wider public. So in short, we will describe the project later on, but in short, the project is that the student made model houses and then made websites to sell those model houses. So this is some of the theme and real-life challenges we thought was connected to that.
We also decided to bring the STEM and non-STEM careers in it so that the students should know about what is in the future, what kind of jobs are available, so that they understand with this kind of a project, if they actually in the future take this kind of a work, then these are the things that they can think of becoming later if they take on the projects. Because the students at this point, they just know about the doctors, lawyers, teachers, or engineers, but they do not know other particular jobs. So they know the common umbrella term engineers. So we decided to talk about different STEM careers, and some of them were electrical engineers, material scientists or engineers, mechanical engineers also, physicists, architects, UX designer, and communication professionals, because communication is a very important part of any profession, but there are other professionals who just take care of the communication also.
And from an art perspective, just going to say shortly, I think it's important to talk with the students about that the skills that we train in art is also applicable to jobs that is more kind of engineering or science oriented, that you can work as a UX designer or build a website. And in those work fields, you actually use the skills that we train in art, how to combine color and font so it looks good, how to use pictures in a responsible way. So I think this project's also opened up the art subject for me and the students in my classroom, where I could tell them that, okay, what we do here is something that you can use not only when you want to draw and paint, but also in a more science in other types of works, basically, than tradition.
The students also throughout this project added on a lot of new vocabulary into their vocabulary actually, because they came across so many new words that they actually learned or they did not hear it before. So that was also, as I said from the beginning, language arts was very much part of like every step of this project.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the methods that we used in this project were inquiry-based science education, because first of all, the inquiry-based science based education is mostly about curiosity. And for that, we had to build up the curiosity of the students. That's how we decided to bring in the real life situation in this project, because we put the students into a situation where they became curious to look at the houses around them and around in the community, what kind of houses are there, and that's how they started becoming more curious and they started inquiring about it.
Exactly. And another part that we worked with was project-based learning, because the students basically got a case saying, okay, you're going to construct a house this size. You need to plan the electricity that's going to be inside. And you also have to promote it through a website. So the students got that case and solved it together, with some scaffolding that we're going to talk about later on.
Mm-hmm. We also talked about, because this is part of our curriculum, or I think recently it has become the curriculum of every country. Actually, this is common 21st century skills, those critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. So that is just a part of, like, embedded in this project.
And the use of ICT in media was pretty, I don't know, natural. I can't find a better word. We are a one-to-one school, so every student has a laptop, and we have a lot of other digital tools available. So the use of ICT in media was, it was just natural to us. But we also worked a bit with analysis, because, Preeti said the students had to look around the neighborhood, or right, what kind of houses is there here? And what we did in art was that we looked at, okay, who build these houses? How do they communicate to potential buyers? So we looked at architectural firms and how they promote themselves, which pictures they use, depending on what target group they were aiming. And looking at how can you communicate your idea to a potential buyer, because that was what they were going to do in the project.
We also wanted to put on the social skills, and that can only because they had to collaborate by working in the teams, and that's why the working in the team also develops so many different skills. Collaboration, negotiation, and taking decisions, or backing off sometimes when you have some good idea but other team members do not agree to that. That's where the students learn those kind of skills, that in a team people have to work collaboratively, so otherwise the team would fall apart. So that was also a very important aspect of our project, and that's why we put the students in groups. Making the groups was a big part of this project, because we had to take care of the social emotional needs of our students, so that they can be put into the right group, so that each and every student helps in making it better, and each and every student help each other to learn something.
And I also think having the students working in groups is very similar to how it could look like if they chose a STEM career, at least if they choose some of the art aspects of the STEM careers that we showed before, that if you work as a UX designer, or if you work with copy, you work in a team. So to learn and to train how to work in a team efficiently is important if you're going to go into the STEM career today.
So we started with a design cycle. We thought like it would be great to give them an idea how they should start, and what can happen. And what if they fail somewhere, then it's not a linear process, rather it is a cyclic process that you can start from anywhere and then you can improve and go on. So that's how we came up with a design cycle. First, we gave them a problem where they could identify the real situation. And then from there, they researched. And then we told them to plan after that. And after planning, having a real concrete plan in their team, they should create their project. And after creating, they should test it and test their houses and the light fitting in them. And after that, they should share those through website that they will be making to sell those houses. later. And if they find some problem anywhere, they can go start all over again. And this is what we started with the design. That was the core actually of this project from where we started it.
And I also think the design cycle links art and science in a good way, because I don't know how it is in Greece, but in Sweden sometimes you can hear that art, or in school it feels like that art and science is very divided. But we work in a design cycle in both subjects, identifying a problem, trying to solve it, show someone in order to get feedback and improvement. So this process links the subjects together well also.
Mm-hmm. So while planning all these things, we decided what kind of tools are we going to use. And so we thought that giving one tool to whole class won't be a good idea, because we already knew about the social emotional needs of our students and their abilities, what level they are. So we decided to give them some different tools so that they can use based on their abilities. So for technology, for sketching tool, where they can sketch in their houses, we gave them idea about a Tinkercad, which is a 3D drawing platform, which can go up to very high level, and it is very, very easy to use for the students. So we actually gave a demo of Tinkercad. We also gave them another platform that was called SketchUp, and also Floor Planner. There are 3 different tools which students can use, and we just gave them freedom to decide in the team which type of platform they are going to use for their particular sketching of their houses. So it was actually pretty much, we gave them some ideas, but then they had to decide. So independent thinking was taken care of in this project, all throughout the project. For physics, we talked about PhET simulations. We also gave, I also showed them the Go Labs platform where I worked earlier. They had so many different circuits related labs there. So the students loved that platform, especially the circuits. Then we also did some hands-on labs in the school, because we have so much material that we can use, of course. And the reason behind that was also that after making their houses, they had to fit in the electrical wires and wiring. So that was important for them to connect it using hands-on lab. They use circuit kits, and to understand the vocabulary, we also use Quizlets. For maths, to calculate all the area, because they were given certain square meters to build the house, so they had to calculate area, minimize it according to their plan. And so this is how they also had to use calculators.
And in arts, we used the tools for building websites. Sway is not a website building tool, although the product looks pretty close to a website. So I thought that was suitable. And just as Preeti said, with the programs using technology, we had a crash course in the classroom with Sway, but then the students were able to choose Google Sites or Wix if they felt more confident in any of those other programs. So yeah, they could adapt the case in the way that they felt would be the best for them. Another thing that we actually used a lot in art, or that we talked about in art, that is not listed here, is the Swedish copyright law, because the students should use pictures on their websites for in order to promote their houses and to a specific target group. So we talked about what images can you use online, and how can you find images that you should use, and how does the Swedish copyright law look, so that they learn how to use images in a responsible way. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So after deciding all those things, we decide the aim and purposes of different lessons that we did. So the main aim was to talk about the hands-on experience with software program, website building tools, and other materials that introduced them to many activities. So that was the aim, that it becomes really very interactive. It doesn't become lecture form from us. Rather, the students take the lead, and we just give them a little spark, and then from there they take on over. So that was our main idea. And we also wanted them for them to learn about different jobs that are available out there if they do such kind of work, or what if they actually build, then who they can contact if they want to build the houses when they grow up, so that they know where to search up and what to look for, so they get the real picture about it. So that was our main aim.
Mm-hmm. And so the overall aim and purpose of the lessons that we held was for the students to understand the social and practical aspect of the problems arising from the lack of housing. I mean, this was the case that the students were giving initially. And I think it was also part of the project when we presented it to the students. Like, okay, there is a problem in Stockholm with a lack of housing. Could this be a way to solve it, that you guys construct houses, basically? Another purpose that we worked with was, and we talked about why this could be, and maybe it was due to densely populated urban centers or financial reasons. So a bit of the social aspect as well of housing was integrated. And the students gained a better understanding of domestic economics, especially when it comes to energy consumption. And I think that was mostly in your projects, Preeti. It was not something that we talk so much about in art.
Yeah, of course, because we do talk about in sciences, when we talk about electricity consumption, we talk about how much impact it have on the environment, because that is also part of the sustainability, how sustainable those houses would be, and how much energy consumption they will do based on the different appliances and different material that will be used for that, because how that material will be produced will also be using energy. And so we will have to think that we use such kind of material which uses very less energy, or very sustainable type of material that can be used in that houses. So we did talk about this a lot in every lesson, because whenever they were giving some ideas about using that material, this material, and we always talked about, do you think it is sustainable? How much impact will it have on our environment? How much carbon footprints will we leave by doing this? So that was a continuous brainstorming with the students, talking about making sustainable houses, because we are talking, when we are making these houses, they will be lasting for more than 50 years. So we have to think about how much energy consumption and all that things will be used. So here is our scenario, the scenario that we gave to our students. They were actually given the real life scenario that was around them. And that is, I think it is a real life situation right now anywhere in the major cities in the world. That is, people have housing problems. And in Sweden, recently, they had started a new thing that they came out, that the government came up with the idea that if you have a garden, if you have some space outside your house, and you can build a separate house for 25 to 30 square meters, and that is allowed. Usually you have to take permission to make something, but this is one thing that they said, that you can make it for the youth to live in there, and the height of that house can be up to 4 meters. It can go up to 4 meters, but not beyond that. So that was we narrowed it down for the students, because they were thinking like, they can make as many rooms as possible, because it happened in when they were making hobby room, TV room, and then gym room, and all those kind of things. And then because they were not picturing this whole idea, so that's why it was important for us to give them this real life thing, that you in 25 square meters, you cannot have all those kind of things. You have to plan the space really carefully. So that was one of the main reasons why we gave them this much area. And then as I discussed earlier also, we had all through this time, we had in our mind that we have to take care of the social emotional needs of our students, their abilities, what level they are. We deliberately put the students into like a higher ability student with a little lower ability group, that a student that could take actually hand-holding, requires a little bit hand-holding by their peers, so that they both learn from each other. And that's how we made a group of 3 to 4 students. Usually most of the groups had 4 students in it, but some, because of the number of students in the class, some groups were 3 students also. The reason for these groups that we made was, sometimes it happened, that time we didn't have COVID in our mind, but that we were thinking that if some student by some chance gets sick or is away, then if there are 3 students, then it becomes really frustrating for the team, or less students, so that the work will not go on. So that's why we decided to have 4 students in each group. That was a very, very good number actually, and it worked very well. And the scenario that we gave to those students was that they were made into a group of architectural firm. In that firm, they will be designing a house. So everyone had to take different role, so that here also we guided the students, because if we give them different roles, we tell them that one has to plan, one has to build, one has to talk about the material, where to get. So all those kind of things, we divided this into 4 different parts, so that the students each have their own part. Otherwise, usually it happens in a group that one student who does, mostly 1 or 2 students do everything, and rest of them sit and just play around. But in this project, every student was given a different part, so that they work as a team together. If one doesn't work, then the team will actually fall apart. So no one wanted that. What was our role as a teacher? We were not teaching, we were not lecturing, we were not doing anything. We were just guiding. We were just creating that spark in their mind, and we were just giving them scenarios and brainstorming with them and facilitating this project. Yes, first we started with collaboration with the colleagues. For example, Anna and our other colleague, Junior, who was there with us in the beginning, but unfortunately he had to move to another school. But yes, working with the colleagues was one of the very important part, and it's very important that you have a good chemistry with your colleague. And this is where I found a really good chemistry with my friend Anna, and I think from that day onwards we have not looked back, and we keep on coming up with the new ideas. That is one of the very great finding of this project, and we can't thank that enough for this project for that. Actually, and we will also be talking about different challenges during the implementation and how were they tackled. Also, assistance from the parents. We also people can think about it, but we were lucky in Sweden that our school did not go online for most of the time. We had only 2 weeks of online school. But we actually later we thought that we can have the parents on board as well. And organization of the career sessions was also organized, but a little later. Anna.
Yeah, so what the students did was that
Anna, shall I just, before we move on to the students' work, maybe to pause a little bit to see if we have like any questions, because then students' work is a different kind of chapter. So if you have any questions, many thanks for putting them in the chat. I think we have one already from Thekla, who is asking our teachers, did you know all these tools before telling students to use some of them? And she specifies, she says that, okay, we all know some art tools, but what about the physics or the technology tools that you have used?
I can take about the physics and technology tools. Yes, I did know about all these projects because all these tools, because PhET simulations I have been doing a lot, and I was actually ambassador for Go Labs, and that made me really very comfortable with using Go Labs in my class, and my students also know it because I use it time to time. So it was easy for my students, and they actually look forward to when we use Go Labs. Yes, I usually use those tools most of the time. Quizlet is the actually platform which I use for before starting any unit in my class, because vocabulary to understand where my students stand, I usually do a Quizlet first in the beginning before starting the unit, and that helps me to understand where they are. Where they are and how much they know, so that gives me a real picture about my students' level, how much they remember from before, what is their level, and how I can actually navigate this project or navigate this lesson based on their knowledge. Should I go through the vocabulary again, or should I emphasize on particular words or things like that? So Quizlet helps me to actually start my project on a right foot. So Quizlet, yes, of course. I don't remember which other project. Sorry, I'm just going. I thought it is not.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yes, I actually knew about all these platforms, especially the technology. This one, Tinkercad. We have been using Tinkercad a lot, but then yes, SketchUp and another tool that I mentioned in here, I had not used it before, but then with my class, with my students, we took, because these days every platform have their YouTube videos, especially educational platform have their YouTube videos how to use them. So we watched it together in the classroom so that the students can decide which platform they would like to know. So even if they had used Tinkercad, I just showed them the 5 minutes video which explains about the platform, Tinkercad, SketchUp, and the other platform. I am sorry, I completely forgot the name that I mentioned. But yes, we watch 5 minutes video so that the students can understand and get hang of what kind of project it is. Yes, we did that.
Very good. Thank you very much, Preeti. Anna, do you want to add anything, or?
Yeah, I was thinking about the Quizlet part. Like, that's also similar to how I work in art, to just make sure that the students know the concepts that we are working with. It's a kind of a formative assessment way or formative approach to it that we always check. And I think also that what's make it easy for me to work with Preeti is that we are similar in how we approach the class. So just repeating and making sure that every student, or at least most of them, know the basic concepts of what we're working with. And Quizlet is an excellent way of doing that, I think. But also like Google Forms or
Teams Forms.
Teams Forms, exactly. Or any like quiz program.
Great. Many thanks to both of you. I see that Thekla says that she's an English teacher, so she's processing how she can possibly make use of your scenario. So you can see you are already spreading out.
Yeah, I think if I can think of that, when I think of that, I think of asking the students to make commercial pamphlets in English for the houses. Could be one way of working in this type of project.
Yeah, absolutely. Thekla, keep us posted on your version and how you are going to convert the scenario. We would love to see how it evolves. Okay, do we have any more questions? If you want to write in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question, that's also a possibility. Let's see. I'll give you a minute to react. Anyone who wants to talk to us, maybe? We would love to hear your voice. Otherwise, those meetings get a bit too quiet.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone wants to talk to us. No.
Yes, sorry to interrupt. Yes, it looks like when we have a WebEx with our students, nobody talks. So that's why the floor now. Thank you. I absolutely love your scenario, and I try to use it in my class. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. I see Anastasia is commenting as well. She's liking the scenario in the chat. Okay. Okay, from the lack of reactions, I have this feeling that we need to take a 5-minute break so everyone can, I don't know, have water.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so let's go for a 5-minute break. So don't go anywhere, but you can, okay, in our case, maybe we're going to close our cameras for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And we're going to see you in 5 minutes, and then we're going to move on to discuss more about the students.
Yeah.
See you in 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a 5 minutes break. I will give again the form for the presentations, for the attendance.
Yes, yeah, that's good. And when we come back, Preeti is going to continue with your slides, so we can leave it the way it is, I think. For 5 minutes.
So shall I stop presenting it or what?
You can leave it, but you can just stop your your video maybe and mute yourself so you can have your 5 minutes as well. But I think the slides can stay. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I don't know how to do this. Okay, I'll mute myself. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. I think at the bottom of the screen you have the mute and the stop video. Okay. I really love the countdown and the music, seriously. Thank you very much. It was very nice. Indeed, it was very nice. I got scared at the beginning. I was hearing music from the other room, but it was very nice. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Hope you are refreshed and hydrated. So we can move on to the second part. Pretty, are you ready to share again?
Yeah. Share. I think you will have to unshare first.
Nothing is to be shared, Pretty. You can go on.
Who wants to share?
So Pretty is going to share again.
Mine is already up, but I just see something else, and when I click on share.
Hold on.
No, Pretty is not the presenter now, but just a moment. Now she is.
Okay.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah.
All good.
So we talked about our role, how we were always guides and mentors. We did not do many lectures. We just let them inquire. We let them work in the project themselves, let them make mistakes and go back to their design cycle and check where they are on their design cycle and start all over again. And so this was a lot of mistake making and learning from those mistakes project also. And that was a really very fun part for the students, because of course there were some frustrations as well. But at the end of the day, when the project was all complete, the students were super happy. So I'm going to take you through the students' journey now using their work. What did they do? What was the main focus that they were working on was the collaboration, and how they could divide their tasks in this whole project, and how they can be responsible throughout this project, because having a task doesn't mean that you can just have it in your brain that I have to do this, but you have to do this, and you have to do it at the right pace. Because if your teammates are waiting for your part and you think that, oh, I will do it at the end of someday, or we still have time and all that, it is not going to keep the team spirit very high. So it was very important for the students to understand the responsibility and to manage the time, to keep the time also. So that was one part. Then also about how different subjects are integrated, because before this, it was always like all the subjects are like teaching different things at different times. But when we were talking about this project, it was going with the flow. If you are going in a math, you are talking about the areas and rectangle of those houses. If you are going into the into technology, you are talking about sketching them up. Then if you are going into, for example, art lesson, then you are sitting and talking about making your websites. How will you sell those houses? So it's like going with the flow, like wherever you go, you just talk about that. So that led to a deeper understanding and deeper learning, because sometimes it happens, some students get along with some teachers very well. They have a very good connection and they listen to those teachers very carefully. And probably they have missed it with some other teacher who was talking the same thing. But if they are with a teacher whom they listen more or are more connected, they will get much more deeper learning doing that, because then they can make connection and coming back. Oh yeah, I know this, that teacher was talking about this, and I can implement that in this subject also. So I believe that a deeper learning happens in this project, in project-based learning, and this happened in our project as well. And it also, they also found out a connection between STEM and non-STEM subjects. Because we talked about art, they were not thinking about like art can be part of this thing, and they were thinking about like, we talked about different vocabulary, and then one day I was talking to our English teacher, and we were saying that these are the words that we have been talking and discussing, and then that he was very happy that their vocabulary is building up, and when they will write some essay or something, then they can always use that kind of a vocabulary, or letters when they will write. So that and sometimes the words that we have used, they sometimes come across while reading in the books. So that also helps them to have a little background information about those words and all. So that helped to make that connection between different subjects, and the students could understand how different things are integrated, how different things are connected to each other. Not the subjects are not like single subjects. They are actually making some sense to them actually. So here is our first example of our project. These are two different platforms the students have been using. One of the platform is SketchUp, and the other project is the platform they have used is Tinkercad. So both of them are talking about how they can sketch their houses. One, Tinkercad, was about 3D. Of course, SketchUp also is 3D, but first it looks like it is made in 2D, and then they can add on different material into that. So both of them, they are used by the same class, but different students. So different projects, different abilities students, different needs, and different understanding level. So all those things, they were working all together. Then after making those houses, they were building it up. So there was a lot of hands-on. There were a lot of measurements, math involved in it, measurements and calculations, where to fit what, and thinking about using every possible corner of the house was also one of the things, because we come from IKEA land. In IKEA, we just like talk about every small space, how can it be reused. And you can see from this picture over here, under the stairs, they have some space where they can just put different things. And actually, these are some examples. We have not put many examples, but they have really very used every corner of that space. Probably, I think in art, they might have talked about how the color combination or the palette works.
Yeah.
Anna?
Yes, and also about like what type of house are they going to build? Is it a cabin? Is it is the material outside going to be concrete, and what target group does that which one should be able to buy them, depending on like what colors and what they look like, basically. So a bit, yeah.
And the students were very involved in it. Usually in Sweden, we do not bring anything from home when we are working in the school. So school provides everything, whatever it is. But the students actually, to make it a realistic feelings, they brought their own toys, Lego pieces, or their own little siblings' toys also, to make it more realistic. They had, I don't have the pictures here, but they had small grills outside in the patio. They had small, so many different things that those houses looked really very neat and real.
Yeah, and this is some of the results we had in art. So this is 2 websites, and I think the left one is pretty funny, because that the group decided to name their architectural firm after one of the members in the group. His after-name was Hughes. So Hughes Houses was the name of the company. And they had a more like, I think they aimed for families, so they wanted to do a more like moderate website with like calm colors, whereas the website to the right is aimed for younger persons. As it says, our student life are perfect for student, our designs are perfect for student life and outdoor life. So that they made more of like cabins for students. Yeah, and also in this part, just as Preeti talked about when they were working with the models, it was important for me as an art teacher to have a scaffolding and to tell the groups like, okay, you need one person who works with the copies, who works with the text, one who works with getting images on or finding images online that you can use and that suits your target group, and one that actually like builds the website, so one who sits in the program kind of. So that was the different tasks that they could do in the group in art. And they also presented the websites to each other during one lesson, and talked about their target group and how they thought about the designs and their copy. And then the students watched, gave feedback, and they were very, very critical, which I think was interesting. They were very had pretty tough questions to each other about the group, about the design of the websites, and saying like, but if you're aiming for a student, why do you have such a high price? So they really had the mindset into these real life questions, I felt, during the presentation.
And here again, as I said from the beginning, it was language arts was part of every part of this project. And while presenting the presentation skills, the oral skills, and also how to present in front of a public, and how to answer those questions without frustrating, those were also the real life skills that they got through this project.
And also, from my perspective, very similar to how you work if they decide to go to an art school. You usually present your project to your class and you get the feedback. So we call it a crit in art school. So it was like a crit. I think very, very close to like how their future work life will look like. Mm-hmm. This is also from the website. So this is the left one. It says in Swedish, våra strandhus, or our beach houses. So they build very luxurious houses for a very luxurious clientele. Initially, the students in art also research how different, and I think I mentioned this, how different architect firms approach their clients. So they looked both at, these firms that builds luxury villas on the coast, and some of them look at, okay, which company renovates our school. So they also had like this idea of how you approach different people through communication and through the choice of images and texts. The left one is supposed to be a bit more luxurious, and the right one, I think, it's nice here to see that the students also added on the sketches that they made in Preeti's classes into their website. So you see to the down right. I don't recognize the program. Maybe you do, Preeti, if it is Tinkercad or where they made their SketchUp. Yeah. So they added on images that they created in the science subject as well in the arts for the website. So that was also nice to see.
Yeah, here in this one, they also talked about different communities and different socio-economic background people, what kind of things they would need and would they like. It was some in these websites, they also introduced like group housing scheme where they went out of their, like the main purpose of the project was about 25 square meters, but then they came up with these ideas how these 25 square meters can be added one over the other, and then that can be made community like a group house project. But again, we actually make them realize, and we brought them back into that design cycle that yes, that was our project, 25 square meters, and then but it was also a good thing that they can think further up from there where did they start and what can they make further from it, much more advanced. That was also, and so the design cycle again came into being, talking about, okay, where did we start, what was our main goal and all, so that they can just go back and solve those problems.
Yeah, and if I can just say one last thing about like the design of the website, it was also funny that they aimed for so different target groups. I said one had like this very high income target group. One group said, okay, we're going to build houses for people who are divorced in the countryside. So because they did this research initially, seeing that there is, okay, different houses for different people, basically, they also used that in their own project. So we got a very wide spread of the types of houses, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and throughout, because it was involved into different subjects, I think every subject classroom they go, they have different feelings. State of mind is also different, and that's why it keeps on changing, because what kind of feelings they have in that subject, what kind of a state of mind they have in that subject, it keeps on changing, and that's how they came up with new ideas when they move on to art, and then yeah. I think it is really good that they are actually thinking independently. Some of the activities that we used in our science project that I just wanted to share with you are like, this one is a picture from PhET simulations about the static current. We started with electricity, and in physics we talked about how the current moves, and this was a simulation. Then the second one was electric circuit lab from Go Labs. That was also liked by the students, how they could connect different circuits and different components in there. That was a very good learning experience for my students. And then there is a simulation on CK12. There is a website called ck12.org, and there's a simulation of a doll house where they can just put different components and see how the light consumption happens. And that simulation was also really liked by the students. So this is what we worked on, our inquiry-based learning in the science subject, in physics actually, because here they were more inquiring about different components, how different light and energy consumption, how it affects, and how many kilowatt hour or how many megawatt, and all those kind of things they were discussing and talking and getting really very there were so many aha moments during these simulations when they were working, because they could play around without making any mistakes in that, and without being worried about how much material they have in their hand, because they can make mistake and then just go again, reset button. So those things were very, very much appreciated by the students, and they actually asked to do it again, actually, in the next lesson. Can we do it again? But we had limited time. So these activities were very much liked by my students. What were the tips and challenges? What are the tips that we can give to you about making any project? But here in particular, if we are talking about this project, but I think these 3 points can be taken into any other project also. If you plan to make a project, first one is like, consider your students' social emotional needs. That is the first thing when you plan your project. You must know the level of your students. Of course, every teacher knows, but just for saying, we are saying that when you are planning, you should know about that. And then when you are putting them into groups of 3 to 4 students, that also be based on their abilities, how some students can get along and how can they support each other to reach that goal that you have in your mind for them to learn. And also decide the material in advance, because sometimes the students can actually fantasize some luxury things which you cannot provide. But here in this one, our students were really, yes, as I said, they were very much thinking that they want to put a swimming pool, they want to put all those kind of things, and for which we did not plan the material that they would ask for. So that is also very important, that you give a narrow, like a picture of what material you have, so that they can plan out of thinking about that. Anna?
Yes, and also think of, like, as we said initially, see around us. Our school is in the center of Stockholm, or city center, in a very dense neighborhood. So to watch around, okay, who builds the houses in this area? What do they look like? Who lives here socioeconomically? So we have an expression in Swedish which is called, like, translated like dig where you stand, kind of. So just look around, so it gets connected to the students' real life. And also to talk a bit about the STEM careers that you can work with. And I think, again, that this is important from an art perspective, to say that, okay, you can work as a web developer, you can work with choosing images for your company, or creating images for a company that they put up on their websites. You can, and to say that you can work with text, for instance, as a copywriter. So to talk about that, and talk about that this is proper career opportunities, and the way you are working now is very close to how you would work professionally if you choose to work in in an architectural firm. But of course, there's a lot more people hired there. But yeah, pretty close to the real life. And we would also like to. It would be nice also, I think, as a part of the project, to visit, like, a company or some type of someone working with this type of career.
One of the examples can be, like, we didn't do that because of COVID, but one of the example could be visit IKEA with your class. That will give some idea for them to. Once I took my students, it was long back, but not for this project. I took my students to IKEA, and then we went around in the IKEA, and then later at the end of the, like, showing around, they were given ice creams by IKEA, and so they were super happy. So, I mean, you just have to contact them, and then they can see how people are working there. That is also another giving real life example of, like, people, different careers actually. And the third point, that we consider the content and the skills, because at the end of the day, we want to teach the content that we want. That's our goal. So those are the things, how you will break down that content, how will you scaffold that. These are the things that you have to keep in mind. But at the same time, please evaluate at every step, because it is difficult if the students are done and our time is gone, and then the students have made a big kind of a mess up of the project, and they require the same amount of time again. So it's always good to reflect after every lesson, individually or with others, so that a right direction can be given to them in the next step.
Yeah, to have a kind of formative approach, I think, to check each step, like as we said before. Okay, do they know these concepts? Do they understand, like, the outcome? Do they understand what they actually are working towards? So to always evaluate throughout the process is good, I think.
So what are the lessons learned, and what are the feedback and best practices we had? I mean, lessons learned is that always have a plan B, because we did not plan COVID in this project, but it happened. So that is one very important, to have a plan B also. If this doesn't work, how should we do it? Also about what different subjects can be involved. It's always good to have the feedback from the colleagues, as well as work with them, brainstorm with them, so that they can give you some ideas. Because I had a basic idea of making houses before I met Anna, and when we started talking about it, became such a wonderful project that now this project is being repeated in my school by other teachers, and they have been adding more and more content into it. Like, for example, besides having the fixing of the lights in the houses, they are fixing the alarm also, the theft alarm. So that those are the things that are, depending on the teacher and depending on their ideas, the teachers can add on. Now we have some questions for you. We have told you about one of our projects. But we have given some examples here, some of the examples of some projects that you can do in the classroom, in different classes. How about making a playground for their pets? For example, hamster or something. What subject do you think can be integrated in this subject? If you can write in the chats. We wanted to have Mentimeet, but we couldn't. So it would be nice to hear from your ideas. What do you think? What subjects can be integrated if we ask the students to make a playground for their pets? If you can write something in the chat, which subject or...
I have to tell you that we are a little bit late.
Okay. Right? Okay, then we can just move on. We can just give some ideas of some of the projects, like making playground for their pets. The students can be put into different groups. They can talk about the area. They can talk about the place where they are, and what kind of how high or small or big or the pet is. So all they can plan. Catapult design to launch marshmallows. That is also a lot of learning in this. Many different subjects can be involved in it. Balloon powered cars. That is also another project. Save the egg. They make the parachute for the egg so that they can drop from different heights and then see if the egg can be saved. Design a snack. This is our next project that we are planning to work on. Design a snack. Whole school can participate in it. Home economics when they talk about the healthy food. Body systems when they talk about how digestive system and all those work when we eat healthy. Art when they have to make the wrappers or the
packaging.
The packaging for this one.
And commercials,
music for their commercials. They can use all different subjects, and that can be and then sell it to the parents during a parents meeting or something. That becomes to get the budget of that one. And hybrid animals, that genetics can be used in there, and other subjects and art. So these are some of the examples that I think are good, can be used, or probably you have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Many thanks to Priti, many thanks to Anna, many thanks to everyone for joining us. So we will let you go to their...
May I say something?
Sure.
I want to say something about the Save the Egg project. I did a similar thing many years ago, but it was not to save the egg using a parachute. It was to insulate, let's say, using a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. So the students had to make some kind of small things around the egg, so you could throw the egg and stay intact. It was okay, but after some time, the principal of the school came and told me that what is this thing about the eggs? I don't understand it, because the students were going out of the schools and they saved the eggs they're throwing to the school. But it was an excellent project, and all these projects you say it is very good inspiration things for everybody, I think. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon. I'm looking forward to meet you again and hear more about your STEM experiences. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.